Okay, hi. Thank you for joining us the webinar today. So this webinar entitles about CYS platform managing data effectively and producing customizable online dashboards. So my name is Nikki. We will be hosting this webinar and I have here Phil Hearn, the director of MRDC software. And of course, we have here Taco Pompe, which is the CEO of CYS platform. Yeah. And you can guys enter questions online, which we'll answer at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. And I wanted to hand it over to Phil. Phil?
Okay, thanks, Nikki. As I think probably many of you know, my name's Phil Hearn, and I'm one of the directors of MRDC Software. What's the goals for this webinar today? I think the first thing I should say is that we have got quite a wide audience joining us today. I know, looking at the people who registered for this webinar, it's very well attended, which I'm very grateful for. But we've got a mixture of people who I would call researchers working in research agencies. We've got some end clients or buyers of research on the call today. We've got some people working in data processing who work perhaps more with managing data and providing data to various parties. And I'm sure we've got some curious people as well in here who just want to come along and see what it is. And I'm sure some people have a mixture of those roles or looking from their company's perspective to see how this platform might help them in their day-to-day lives. So a wide audience, and there's a lot we could cover in this webinar. And I think if there's a goal, it's to give you or give something to everybody. And perhaps we won't answer all the whys, all the hows and all the whats, but I hope from this webinar what you're going to get out of it is enough of each. The why might be the easiest. I think it's clear, has become clear that this platform answers a question that market research has not been very good at answering, I think, historically, and I think this really is a real step forward for market research. The how and the what, we're going to do a mixture of that, and when I hand over to Taco, who's going to take you through the platform, he'll take you through some of the how you do these types of things, and also for those who perhaps want to see what it can do, look at some of the things that it can actually do and produce for you. So I'm hoping my page down button works, but it's not seeming to. Good. So first of all, a quick introduction to CYS. Taco will take you through this in more detail in a minute. But CYS is the right partner for MRDC, we believe. We've been looking, I think, for some time for a company that can move data from just perhaps producing reports in PowerPoint, which is what market research has traditionally done. And if anybody reads my blogs and sees some of the rants I occasionally make, my frustrations tend to have been around things like automation, data reporting and data visualization. And we feel that this platform really is a step forward for us, and CYS is a really perfect partner for us, because we have been looking for something that will really take perhaps the power of the analytics software we got doing tabulations and some of the tools we have for collecting data, but then can take it on to manage that data, perhaps manage it with other types of data that outside market research. And when looking for a partner, as I have been, I would say for 5 years now, I've tended to find that most of the other tools out there are either very trapped in market research and don't go beyond market research, or perhaps go the other extreme and not really market research relevant at all and don't really understand what research data and how it's different, or they have very limited data management tools with limited flexibility. And we feel that this platform really is a step forward in terms of what we can offer as well, as much as a company. So this is a significant step forward for us. And I think if we look at what sort of changed is that research has gone online at the last 5 to 10 years. That's just a fact that we all know now, that most research is online. And if we look at the tools that are used in online research, I would say that online survey software is now very well catered for. There's a lot of packages out there that range from almost free or free right through to very sophisticated bits of software that can be embedded in websites and do some quite complex stuff. And if we look at the CAPI market for computer-assisted personal interviewing, that market's also developed very quickly. It's probably not gone quite as far because a lot of the online tools have limited ability to collect data for CAPI, in that they perhaps don't work offline and online. They only work online, and if you haven't got an internet signal, they can't be used. But again, it's a fairly well-served market, I think, with a number of tools and an increasing number of tools as well, that again range from quite low cost through to quite sophisticated systems that can suit your needs. Where I've seen a real gap is in the dashboarding and data visualization, and what goes with that is the ability to manage different sorts of data, not just research data. And I think sort of the problems that we've been perhaps very concerned about, a lot of feedback we get from customers is that they want to be able to manage some data themselves and look at the data themselves, explore the data themselves, and have it in forms that works for the team or the people who actually want to use that data. And there have been some tools out there that can produce dashboards. There's certainly a very active business information software systems out there, but they're really not affordable to most market research agencies, and certainly not viable on many projects. So yes, perhaps on the biggest multi-country tracking studies, it might be viable to produce a dashboard, for example, but on a typical size market research project, that's not been possible. And the tools tended not to be market research friendly. They perhaps don't deal with some of the things that we deal with day to day, like wanting a top 2 box or something like that, something that's very standard in market research, or dealing with a multi-response question, something that market research data is one of the few industries that has the concept of multi-response data. Most industries have just a small number of fields that are single answer. I also think the real gap in the market as well is that the ability to merge market research data with other business data. I've always wanted, it's perhaps one of the things that you might have read in my blog articles, that market research doesn't always get to the top table because it's not been possible perhaps to present that alongside other KPIs and business data. And so that's been something that I think needs to be answered. Real-time data, people getting data in real time, I think is something that we're beginning to expect. We get it in non-market research areas, and so it should be something available in market research. And I've already mentioned the need for powerful data management tools, which Taka will be showing you a little bit more about during his presentation. And of course, these projects have got to be easy to manage. Researchers have limited time, limited budgets, and need to deliver information very quickly after a survey has been completed or while it's being completed. And I think there's a need to bridge, if you like, between some of the market research centric software systems out there with some of the rather big and elaborate and highly expensive business information solutions that are out there. So on that note, these are the things that we've been looking to solve, I would say, for at least 5 years, maybe more, I forget. But that's where we have got to. And that's where I'm going to sort of come in to hand over to Taco to introduce the CYS platform, tell you what it does, look at it from how it collects data, manages data, and allows you to visualize that data. As this is a fairly short session, there'll be a limit to how deep we can go into that. But one thing we've already got in mind is that we imagine that as a result of this webinar, different people want to see some things in different depths. And we're looking perhaps at running 1 or 2 other sessions after this to look at either perhaps what the platform can do or how you do it in the sort of data management and the more sort of detailed data processing side as separate events at a later stage if you want to show your interest later. So with that, I'm going to probably hand over to
Anyway, Phil, sorry.
Yeah.
I have one question already here.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah. Someone asked, by real-time data, do you mean live updates of dashboards?
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. So by real-time data there, I'm talking about where you can feed data either from surveys or from some other source straight into a dashboard, so that you can look at that in real time and people can act on that rather than waiting to be uploaded perhaps once a week or whatever else it might be. So yes, on that note, I'm going to hand over to Taco, and we will deal with any questions at the end rather than during the presentation. But as already discovered, there's a Q&A box there where you can type in your questions. Nikki will coordinate those and ask them to either myself or Taco at the end as seems relevant. So on that note, I hand over to Taco.
Okay, thank you, Phil. If you will stop sharing, then yeah, perfect. Then I can take over. Hi everybody, nice to meet you. I can't see you, but I will have a short introduction about myself. So my name is Taco van der Pompen. I am the founder and owner of CYS. I won't tell too much detail about it, but a few things that I like about my job is that I can mainly focus around the product. So my role, I created in the last couple of years, and it is built around the product. Phil, thank you for the complete introduction. That will help me to speed up and go to the product as soon as possible. I think the challenges you describe are similar to what CYS has been experiencing for the last few years. But before we can go to the product, in the presentation, I will first go to why. Why did CYS start developing this? What is the thought behind it? And what is the goal of what we've been doing? And how did we get there? Because if you look at our history, it's quite logical how we got to this point. So I will talk you through it in high level. The second thing is who are using it now today? So what can you do with it? And then we will go more to the product side of it. And then I will run you through a few features on high level. And I'm going to deep dive into a few more complex solutions. Mainly try to explain why they are there, how they work, and not specifically in all detail, but just to show you what the system can do. So hopefully everybody can hear me, and if there's anything, then please let me know so I can change it in the presentation or in my story. Can you guys see my screen? Anybody doesn't see my screen, and please let me know.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So who and what is CYS? Mainly as a company and a product, because there's a big story behind it. So CYS exists as a company for around 16 years. I founded the company, so mainly it's founded about my own ideas. My background is IT programming and HR, which is kind of a weird combination. But it explains mainly why I was interested in something like the mystery shopping business. So around 2004, we were officially founded, and we started growing into employees doing audits, checks, and mystery shopping mainly. We developed our first piece of software then, but it was mainly just to manage our own customer projects. And the company started growing. We were getting questions from customers about satisfaction research mainly. So we launched customer satisfaction. And there we saw a big gap between what mystery shopping does, quite good at single reporting, what audit does, and customer satisfaction, much better at accumulated data. But what mystery shopping was good at, it was in the operations of a business every day, which mainly was missing from our perspective in customer research. That was just lying at a department, you do a research, you build a report, you present it to the management, and then a few months later or a year later, you do another research, and mainly the result stays the same. So that's when we launched into 12 our customer feedback system. So we developed a piece of software mainly around dashboarding, which really helped the company to grow. So we grew to around 25 people as a market research agency, and then we expanded to around 13 countries. But then the idea for this platform came mainly because of the challenges Phil was explaining to you guys. We couldn't grow as much. We needed IT people to run the business, because the biggest problem we had with running continuous research and feedback projects is, on one hand, it is mainly it is an IT data management thing, maybe more even than specifically research. And data cannot be managed in research platforms. So we implemented within a company a complete ETL environment to manage data, but it needed to be managed by IT people. So there the idea existed of experience management software that could manage the data, research, and visualize information, which could bring a gap between what we were doing and how we are supported by the software as it was there today. Saying this, in 2016, we changed the company completely from a market research agency, which we are not anymore, to only a software solution. Within the period that we were developing this, we grew to around 45 people, and we have now an office in Asia, in Pune, India, and an office here. And hopefully, if we keep the growth up, we can open an office in the States as well. So as of today, last year, in 2019 September, we launched the new platform that we developed. And we are now migrating all customers. So we have migrated around 25% of our customers. The two biggest customers we had for the last 7 years are migrated to the new platform. And the results are quite positive. There's a big shift. We don't do research work anymore. So we work a lot with research agencies and also with end clients. So our positioning is mainly as a software platform rather than a research agency. So this is how the whole story is and how we came at the position. So from this perspective, we have some experience in being in research agency, doing a lot of research and the challenges we faced in that specific period. And we try to solve it all in the software we develop now. Just a summary of what I just told is in a short video that I will share. I will just see if I can make sure that my computer sound is shared. Yeah. Okay, here it comes.
At CYS, we've been helping companies optimizing their experience for more than 15 years. We know that a good conversation is the basis for every relationship between people and businesses. But having a good conversation with many people at the same time is not easy and can cost a lot of energy. In order to facilitate this, we set ourselves the audacious goal of developing the best software in the world for managing and measuring experience. One software solution for combining all relevant conversations, data, and feedback from customers, employees, and business. Pre-designed, customizable programs designed for prioritizing your company's improvements, like customer feedback monitoring, employee engagement research, audits and checklists for quality management, and the reporting of business KPIs. CYS provides a great experience in all conversations by providing a complete solution for storytelling, one-to-one feedback loops, approachable multi-channel questionnaires, easy-to-use quality checklists and audits, connecting and improving your company's data, and providing cutting-edge reporting and visualizations. Available for every stakeholder on any device at any time. Worldwide available at an attractive price. Are you interested in a good conversation with your company, employees, and customers? Welcome to CYS.
So what kind of end clients and clients are using CYS today? So for what kind of things it's being used? So the first thing is customer experience management. We have a huge customer base that is using us for customer experience measurements, customer feedback, all this kind of stuff. Then the other thing is employee engagement management. So we have a customer base that is using us for employee research, employee satisfaction, and these kind of studies that are being done. Then we see that specifically with the new platform, the small and medium enterprises growing quite fast because they can combine small different research into one platform, which will give them some advantage that they don't have to buy several other tools, which can be cost effective for them. And we see that we have a customer base in quality management. For example, we do quite some work for hospitals, which is quite relevant today, I must say, because it's usually around hygiene, cleaning, and infection risk prevention. which is quite hot at the moment. Commercially not that good at the moment because all hospitals are quite busy in the world, but we have some tools around quality management built into the system as well. And now I don't know why it's repeating my screen. Yeah. So in general, when you look at the system, there are three pillars which we lean on. One is data management. The second is research, and the third is visualization. You can cherry pick as well. So we have a data management tool which you can use. You can do research in our tool. We have an online research platform, but it's what you want to do with it. You can skip it. If you have another research platform already, you can just use the data management and the visualization. We even have customers that only use the data management because it's so flexible, and then they pump it into another system again. So it's depending on what you want to use. If your data is already well structured, you can just use the visualization part. So it is just three pillars that we build in the system, which you can combine. You can use one of them, and that is how we set up the system. So then, what makes the system, from my perspective, special? What we really try to focus on. Everything is focused around continuous projects and research for continuous data flows. Which means real time, everything goes real time. So for example, if you get a file or a connector and data flows in, within seconds, questionnaires are sent out. Seconds later, after it's filled in, it is available in the dashboard. This gives some complexity for us building it because everything needs to be managed around running in continuous research. So updating questionnaires, updating data structures, changing data structures, all without losing the 24/7 flow of data and information to your company. Multi-channel data collection. To be able to really report well, you need to combine data instead of putting everything in different sources. So we have a whole data management system, a mapping system, and we allow on a project multi-channel data collection to be able to have a good source data for your visualization. The third thing, which is a big thing, is the data management. We call it for dummies. So we try to change what usually an IT guy does into front-end functionality, where someone with just knowledge of what he wants to achieve, that they could achieve it just by clicking into the system. I will show it in a demo in a few minutes. There's one thing specifically, we have drag and drop functionality just to combine different data sources. We have a dynamic rule engine which can help you to restructure your complete data source. We also handle label data. You can map your data. You can combine data into different labels. So this is specifically known in the research market. And also with the rule engine, you can improve your data. So you can build logic on rules that automatically keep updating and improving your data to make sure all the dashboards are always up to date. And then on top of it, we have customizable dashboards that you can build. You can click them into each other, also with just front-end functionality. And we build a specific functionality for custom infographic, which is a quite a nice feature, I must say. And then to make sure that you can share this within the company at a good level, we have extended portal and user management settings. This means that everybody in the organization or with customers can have access at their specific level. So there's a big chunk of possibilities to share dashboards, projects, information with each other with different levels of access to that specific data. This all makes it, if you implement it correctly, that it can completely run through it. So let me just go back to the to this screen, and then I will go through the system itself. Let me get from current slide. Yeah. Oh, I need to switch. Oh, there it is again, and I will keep this at my screen. And I will start sharing. So to begin with, I said we had the research data visualization. The first thing I will do is just go through the concept of it again, just to make sure it's completely clear. So you see, there are three levels. So the research part is we mainly build with around customer feedback, employee feedback, audit forms, and checklists. This is based on the quality management, customer experience management, and employee engagement management stuff that is being done. And this is mainly what a lot of companies do as researchers today. But the research part is also completely flexible, so you can build any type of research. So there are also customers doing tracking studies or marketing studies or whatever you want to do, consumer research. So that is just how you use the functionality. The second part is the data part: import, combine, and improve data, and then the visualization. Again, the dashboards, infographics, but also follow-up tasks. So what we try to do is build a solution where the research can work for the organization every day. So specifically, the follow-up tasks are all around triggers and tasks that can be created on logic in your research or your data. So, for example, on a low score, people who are familiar with customer feedback solutions, it's closed-loop feedback solutions, but also with audits. If a score is below a certain level, you need to have an improvement plan in place, and this can all be done with the follow-up tasks in the system. So these are the pillars we are aiming for. Then if you go one level deeper, if you just go to the features of what we're doing, it is all based around those 3 levels. So first of all, if you go to research, there's a questionnaire engine where you can build your own questionnaires. It is quite just easy to use. We predefined quite a lot of stuff that you can really get your projects up and running quite fast. There's a big personalization part in it. So there's field pickers and rule engines in it. I will show it in the system itself, which is a bit more complex functionality where you can build complex jumps and skips. Everything is, of course, completely branded to whatever you need. Every project can have his own branding and his own materials. And it's a multilingual system. Then specifically, if you go to the audit part, we have some specific functionality built in the questionnaire part, which works really well for the audit for checklist, like video, audio, and photo support. You must say that the saying, I don't know for sure if it's the same in English, but a picture says more than 1,000 words. So when you conduct research or want to add information also in customer satisfaction, adding video to it, adding photo to it really has a big impact on how people look at reporting and the information flow. Also, there is a complete scoring system in. So if you want to build questionnaires with specific scoring, weighing on questions, that can be done easily, and that can be used in reporting and in reporting as well. I can show a few examples along the way. And there's a complete project scheduler in. We have a mobile app, iOS and Android app in the App Store. If you download the app, it can be used to conduct audits. So there's a whole planning system which allows you to plan these researches. This is also really handy if you do customer research, for example, in the field. Then if someone is conducting interviews, they can also use the app, or doing mystery shopping business, they can also use the app as well. Then you have some expert rules. I will go into this by just showing the system, but there's jumps, skips, smart routings, actions on respondent logic, and actions on data logic. And there, even if this doesn't fit the needs, there is just expert modes for SQL and JavaScript scripting. And then there is a multi-channel data collection, which we're still extending, but you can easily send out emails. You can create links, automatically generate QR codes, and use a mobile app. We're now working on website integrations that you can just with some inline code implement the whole research into your website as well. So this is stuff that is allowing you to collect data anywhere at any platform and combine it into the system. Then specifically, if you move now from the research to the data management part, you can have different import sources. This can be done manually, automatically. There's a project data management. So as soon as the imports are in the system, you're able to combine it. You will be able to label it. And even specifically for the European countries, there is a flagging system which allows you to flag your data for GDPR purposes. So you can flag data as a high risk, medium risk, or low risk, but automatically you can build rules to override data so you can be completely compliant with the GDPR law. And also there are different layers of blacklists available, and also temporary exclusion lists, which will automatically manage your respondents. If you do continuous research and you connect to your own system, let's say you have a cost register system, you do not want a customer that does shopping with you every day. You don't want them to get a research every day. So there are exclusion lists there that automatically manage a certain amount of days that you don't want people to be involved in a new research. So let's say every 90 days, I think it's acceptable that someone gets an invite, so you can manage it. The system manages it, is all automatically. So there's no, it's just setting it up, and then the system does the work for you. And then one layer for the data management for experts, you can just with drag and drop functionality, you can combine complete files. So why is this handy? You can imagine that if you do a research, let's say a customer research, it's the most simple example where we use most files. We, for example, have projects running for big insurance companies that use around 18 different sources, which pushes data to us. So they have a support system, they have a sales system, they have a CRM system, and they don't have an overall system that manages everything and gives us one clean export. Some companies have, most companies we work with don't have this stuff. So this allows you to just pushing the data as it comes out of the other system. You can just with drag and drop map it, so you can combine one good structured research data set for your customer feedback system. And then there is management of your data. This is the improvement of your data. So for example, if you know that data comes in as a specific number, and you want to show in your questionnaire or in your dashboard, you don't want to show a number. For example, my personal number could be in the system that we use. It's like TACO is 2458. But looking at the dashboard, I don't want to be reported as 2458. I feel like a human being, so I want to just see TACO as my name when I look at the report. Or even if I send out an invite to a respondent, or I conduct research, then you want to say, you've been helped by TACO. TACO was a sales employee. How do you rate TACO? This is much nicer. So, but being able to do this, you need to be able to manage the quality of your data live within the process every day for every record. And that's where the rule engine kicks in. So at the moment the record rolls in, for example, for creation rules, you can manage this up. You can say, if this number is there, then just change it to the name TACO. And from that moment on, the system works with the name TACO instead of the data we're getting. And this is also extremely handy when you work with different sources. So an example is that one source shows region South, and the other system just shows South in the data, and the other system maybe shows R.South. By combining it all, building a rule to manage this, from that moment on, it all gets restructured to just region South, which you can again use in your questionnaire or in your dashboards. And that is quite a handy thing. And everything is built on continuous flows. So if you set it up once, you don't have to do it again. And then the dashboards, there are a lot of visualization possibilities, but I will just go through it in the system which is much nicer. But the way we thought of this was, at CYS, we feel that it's quite important that you build dashboards for your target groups. So build a dashboard for management with separate information, then build one for a different layer in your organization, until even we build specific dashboards for employees. And by having some smart functionalities in filtering, you can just build one dashboard for a specific employee, and all 600 get the same dashboard, and the system automatically filters it out towards your profile in the system, which allows you to share the data even on an employee level if you want to. And then every dashboard for every employee shows his own data and his own feedback and his own improvements. And the other thing is in the dashboard, which we spent quite some time on creating this, that is that you can combine all the sources into one dashboard. So if you see today in a regular company, people could have like 10, 15 flows of reports that are being pushed to them from even the different kind of research we were just saying, the checks, the customer research, but also business intelligence reports, reports about productivity, whatever it is. by putting it just all together in the system in one, combining it into less projects, and then again combining all those projects into one, even one visual, even one infographic or one dashboard. And then there is a smart filtering option that automatically, if you drill down in data, it automatically drills down in all your projects. So this is all handled by the system as well, which is quite a good feature, specifically if you have a lot of data to report. And then yeah, the infographics, but I will just go through it in the system. All right. I don't know if there are any questions already, Nikki. Maybe good to handle them now. If there are already questions, then I can just give me a little bit of time to go.
I have here questions. Let me figure out these questions for you. Can the system handle large volumes of data?
Yeah. Yeah, it's also depending what do you name as high volumes. So we have tested it for hundreds and thousands of records per import. Each record will have, we tested it on 30 to 40 variables. We can handle the number of variables is 2048. So we doubled the amount that a regular SQL server can handle. And we stress test the system around hundreds and thousands of imports every 5 minutes. And that goes well. Yeah, so it's a continuous challenge to keep it up to speed, of course, but from a market research perspective, yes, we can handle quite large volumes. Yeah, but if you look at the big data with hundreds of millions of records, so I must know the exact case, but from where we are coming from, yes, the answer is yes.
Okay. I have here also one question. Could the data from 2 different surveys appear in the same dashboards?
Yeah, that's quite easy. Yeah. And then even the filtering will work over the project. So there's a simple solution. If you use the same filters, the same columns in the 2 projects, the system will automatically find the columns and automatically filter it out. So for example, if you have 2 or even 10 different projects running, combine them even into one graph if you want to. And then the system will automatically filter it out if you drill down, for example, to a region or to a location or to a department or even to a person. Yeah.
That's all the question as of the moment.
Okay. Then I will go through the system. So what you see here is the first part I'm going to show. So if I just take it all down, the functionality, then you will see there's a line here in the middle. So it's called the Experience app. So what we did is we split the functionality for the system into 2 groups. You will have collaborator functionality and user functionality. The collaborator functionality is above this line. There's a completely different pricing for collaborators. So these are people who want to work with you on research, but don't manage the research. They can log in, look at reports. So the functionality they're getting, they can work on projects, filling in questionnaires, for examples, for audits or as employees. So you can conduct audits that are planned in some frequencies. Then you can just add simple forms and checklists to this group, and they can also fill this in. You can write blogs to the people, and they can read the blogs that you have written about what's going on in your company or organization. You can also remove every feature from the collaborator. That's just a choice, and then they can look at dashboards. So the dashboards that are published to them, they can view the dashboards. So they can view and collaborate on the projects that are running. But they can't manage projects, they can't set it up. So that is everything above the app. This will be connected also. The Experience app is what we call the web version of the mobile app. But the same functionality is in the iOS and Android App Store under the CX.management app. So this functionality above the line, collaborator functionality, it combines with the app. So you can choose. If you don't want to download the app as a manager or an employee, you can just go online. And otherwise, you can just download the app in the App Store and have the same functionality. And then beneath the line, Iris is specifically for the healthcare. That's why it's open in the demo, but not specifically relevant for this session. And then you can have the data guard, and that's the data management platform we were just discussing in the presentation. Then there's the data collection. There's a research part of the system. And then the reporting part of the system is the visualization in the system. And then you have your management tasks. So in high level, I will just fly over a few of the features. Users and groups, you can create users, add them into groups, assign roles to the users, and users can manage their own profile in the system. Specifically the roles, we have defined a few default roles, but just to give you an idea about the application permission settings, which are quite extensive. So every feature has an extensive list of what you can switch on and off, what people can do or cannot do, what they are allowed to do. So this way you can create extensive rules for users to make sure they get access what they need, but don't get more access than needed. Then there is the portal settings, portal names, the look and feel. You can completely brand your own portal. It's quite nice to tell, but we are now working on a few changes that you can also have your complete login screen branded as well, and that you can have your own domain. Also, the communication settings are now being changed, so you can just add multiple email addresses to the system that will automatically be used if you select them in projects and schedules. And then there is the period and the reporting settings, but I will just tip them when we jump to the dashboarding part. The media library, this is where all the documents are saved, but also all the documents that are running in your research. So for example, if in a questionnaire or in a project you collect videos or images, you see here, this is uploaded by respondent. This is images that are running through your research, which have the same label as your as the ID, and these images can also be used to show in reports. So if you build a report and you want to show the image to a user on the report or a slider, you can just use the images as well to present to the users. So this is just the management settings of the system. And then if we go through it step by step, the next step I think is the data garden. If you look at the data garden, you import files. That's what's being done. I won't go through the whole process because we cannot make this into the planning, but I will just open one. So you define what does this file look like? How is it coming out of the other system? The whole challenge we faced was we don't want to ask the IT department to change their structure. So what we need to do in this system is need to be able to handle any structure and any data source that they give us, and then manage it in our system to change it, improve it the way we want to, because we know if you ask something at a regular IT department in a regular company, it's always busy, they're always under pressure. So by having flexibility here, it is much easier to set projects up. The time to go live is much faster. Then you can add sources to it. You can just upload them manually, but you can also set up SFTP connections. And we're now opening up with the API, so you can also connect through API. So in a few weeks, we will probably to a few months, we will launch the complete API management system, which allows you to connect to any import slot and just build connectors. Then you can build rules on import, and this is just to help you secure everything. So what you see in projects that we were doing the last 6-7 years is that sometimes by accident the wrong file is added, or a much bigger file, or instead of the records of last day, the records of the last year is added. So you can build quite flexible just checks that you want to do. You might want to check the name or the file size, and if it's not according to the things you set here, so if the name is not according to the conditions you set here, then automatically the file is blocked. So you set the conditions on when to import. The less you put in, the much more flexible the system will work with it. And then you can see the data that has been imported into the system in the review, and every import gets a log. So that's how the import works. And then you can have a lot of import sources. So I will when I deep dive a bit later, I will show a portal which has much more. And then you go to projects. So the projects are managed here. So the trick is you can have one or multiple imports that run into a project. So let me go here. It's a similar setup. So what you do here is, for example, you have one of the sources. So if you look at the sources I can choose, this is the same list as we saw in the imports. And now I can say, okay, I want to combine a few imports into a project. And in this screen, I can just drag and drop. So if I, for example, have the company here and I have the company or the store here, I could just drag and drop it into the right box. So in this case, for example, store manager, and I see store manager here, I could just drag and drop it into store manager. This is quite simple drag and drop functionality to combine multiple files. So the step is now I have combined multiple files. If you just have one file, you just map it one-on-one. And this is the second file, and I can keep adding sources as much as I want. So we have projects which combine 17 to 18 files into one project. And as soon as you switch it on, it starts running, and from that moment on, every 5 minutes it checks for new records and I push them into the project. Then there's a place where you can define and name all your variables. So how do you want to work with it? And you can also add, for example, label data. So this is for research agency quite common. And you can choose what kind of data it is. And depending on the type of data, it gets easier in your reporting to use it. But I won't go into too much details now. And then you can build rules. The rules are split up in creating records, mutating records, and event-based records. Creating records is when a record comes into this project. And the project can be used either for research or just for reporting purposes. It doesn't matter. You need a project to be able to report, and you can add research to it. That's a choice. Then on creating records, so each time a record rolls in, it will run through the list of rules. And then on mutating of a record, every time a record changes, it runs through the whole list of rules. Also in the correct ordering. The ordering is important for the rules, so you can have rules that will follow up. And then you have event-based records. You can choose when it needs to run, or it will run, for example, on an import of an update. I will just switch to another screen just to deep dive a little bit more into the effect of a rule engine like this. So I have one example, which is quite a more complex one, but it's really a nice one. So this is an example of where more projects are running. Here you see a bit higher volume, 700,000 in, 300,000 on last import. So what happens here? This is just an example where our IT is testing and using stuff. So where is the one that I need? It is the check VLOOKUP. So for example, we had a challenge. The challenge was there was a big chain, supermarket chain, and they really needed to manage their report structure. So they say they have one unique identifier. It was an SAP number, and all the other information was different in all different locations. So the regional managers change. Everything changes every day. It's a multi-billion in turnover, and everything changes there every day. And we were managing this every day for them to keep the report stream up to date. So what we did now is, and that's the example I just want to dive into, we build a lookup functionality. So what we do is we said we create just a database and an import, and we just put in the correct information. And now their manager knows everything that changes, they just drop it in there. They just export it from there. They have one central location, they put it in there, and automatically the system here search every record. It goes through the list, it finds the SAP number, and automatically updates address fields, structure fields, phone numbers, postal codes, but also districts, formulas, the district managers. Everything is updated automatically in the system. And then this rule also applies on event-based. So as soon as they update the import, automatically all projects are being checked within 4 hours and updated to the newest information that they have. And that means that we never run up. In the beginning, we were away, so let's say around a month. So every month we did an update manually. And now within 4 hours, everything is updated in every dashboard, which is a big impact. This is mainly about the data garden. Just an example with a bit more details. But If you don't get it, it's also fine, and we can definitely have another call to explain it in more detail. Then the data collection, I will go through it in high level just to show a little bit of what it can do. I prepared another set for this. Yeah, okay, that's there. Yeah, so just to give you an idea, this is the place where you can work on your questionnaires. So it's quite simple. On the left, you have the list of questions you created. Here you type in your questions, and on the right, you have your settings. And you always have page settings, question settings, and answer settings. So it's quite the simple thing. If you want to add a new page, a slider pops up with all the information. I won't do it now because then I will go through the whole thing. And there are all different types of questions which you can use. KPIs are predefined. That's how it runs. And then there's one thing I want to show, just to give you guys an idea of what is quite complex, but not really thought through usually, and that is the test and publish phase. So what you do is, if a project runs every day, or you're working with your customer and changing it, we have a whole flow which automatically manages the versioning of your questionnaire and automatically keeps updating the database at the backend. So they will always be up to date with the newest version you have running on live. So the questionnaire you're looking at is in edit. And as soon as you have your questionnaire ready, you can just place it into test. Quite simple, and it will just copy it. And then it asks, do you want to duplicate this version? Yeah, I want to do it. And as soon as you do it, automatically a test link is created, so you and your colleagues can work with the test link to see if it's all correct. So you can run through the research. And then also you can just plan it for live and push it to live, and automatically each respondent, even if the project is still running, is automatically managed by the system who is getting which version. It's all done automatically. So this is quite a smart thing in the from my perspective in the questionnaire engine. And furthermore, we have quite a normal way of working with the questionnaire. Let me go through the dashboard part. So if you look at the data collection, it is added on top of all the data management part, and then if you combine the data that you have put into your data garden with the data you've collected, you have your data ready for reporting. And then I will just prepare another screen. Yeah. So I will just show you a few things that are done in the reporting, and then I will go through adding a dashboard and doing this. So this is just a few visuals just to give you an idea of what you can do. It's all different kind of functionality. Some is based on individual records, some is based on calculations. This is just to show you an idea of some of the visuals. But depending on how you set it up, you can build tables, you can build data tables, you can build graphs, you can build rankings, whatever you want to do. But just to give you guys an idea on if you then make it for a customer, there are some more examples. So this is running for a specific customer that we have. And this is just audit reports combined with connection of the data. This is if alcohol is sold. Here, custom infographics are added to the project. So these are complete infographics specifically built completely in their branding. This is just to give you guys a little bit idea of what the dashboarding and the visuals do. Different examples. And then I will just go through one more example. Yep, I think this one is, yep. Yes, again, an infographic used. There's a few statements that are being reported. They're just all kind of different. graphs available. Different tables with scoring. So this is just some few examples. Just to give you an idea how you get there, we need to go through the concepts of the dashboards, and then I will deep dive a little bit more into the infographics. So the first thing we have when you build a dashboard, it is around the portal management. So the thing you have, the system automatically will structure your data in any period setting you want. So some companies work in years of January to December, some in April to March, so you can define which years do we allow in our system to be chosen in the dashboard. The second thing is, how do you want to group your data? If you work with continuous research, you usually combine data per week, per month, per quarter, per year, per 6 months, per 2 years, whatever you want to do, or you want to define some variable in the data for a custom structure. So that is all depending on your own choices. When you've set this, there are different calculations. Phil already ticked this in his meeting about what the system automatically can handle, and it's a combination of things, like an average, a count, a sum, but also the top box, bottom box, that are more the research kind of things, Net Promoter Score calculations, satisfaction calculations, response percentages. This is already by default supported by the system. And then when you start building your dashboard, just open up one. You start adding widgets. You can just so this is a dashboard that's running. And what we did is you have some settings for the dashboard. You can change the color schemes. You can change background images, and here you can set the settings for period and the way this dashboard runs on your data. And then just walk you through a few of the things that you can do. You have a whole list of widgets that are predefined, simple tiles that you can use with progress bars, all different just visuals that you can use. We have a whole bunch of iconized widgets that can be used. Specifically for research KPIs, we developed a few things that are mainly used for NPS scoring, for example, or customer effort scoring. This is mainly, scoring board is mainly used to report how things are going, and then you have just the normal charts and the specials. I can have a whole webinar about this, so I will just stop here. There's one thing I want to show about the infographics, because the flexibility is quite extreme, and that is that we have built quite a smart infographic builder. So what you do is infographics, anything a designer can design, we can report. So for example, if you have a customer doing a customer journey research, you can just connect it to the data. So the thing you do is I will just show it in how it works. You'll export the image as an SVG. It's a default file size. You put the SVG into this SVG string thing. You will run it once, and then the SVG is loaded into this infographic. This means that any design that a designer makes, you can use as a graph to use for reporting. Anything. I will show you a few examples. What will happen then is you can connect the numbers, for example, in your infographic. You can just connect them to this. So in this example, you see customer journey standing here, but if I want to change this to Taco's journey, it is made flexible. And from this perspective, you can connect any piece of data to this that you have in your research. So for example, if you have this running and you will just want to switch it to a dynamic display point, you have a wizard that will just walk you through the whole thing. What do you want to report? This is also where you can see you can combine multiple projects into one infographic, and then you can just choose any project. I want to get an NPS score to show, and then I just need to select my NPS question, And from that moment on, I start running. What do you want? What do you want to show? Do you just want to show the NPS? Do you want to show the number of respondents it's based on? Do you want to show a trend indicator? Or do you want to show it for this period, the previous period? And this way you can run through a lot of details. I won't finish it all up, but this means that you can make this whole image as flexible as you want to make it and make it run on your data in real time. But just to show you a few examples that are made in the same infographic, it can handle these kind of scripts. It can handle JavaScripts to show. You can build complete audit reports like this. This is all based on the same widget type. And we also make completely branded ones. So this is for research we do for one of our customers. And you can have completely branded infographics as well. So this way you can build any dashboard, any report that you want live on your data. Yeah. All right, this is about what I wanted to show. So we handled the data part, we handled the research part and the reporting part. I think I'm a bit out of my time, Phil, but that's usually when I start talking about it, then I can talk for hours. So please take over.
Yeah. All right. If you can just unshare your screen and I'll share my screen. Thanks, Taco. Okay, just put back where I was. As Taco said there, I mean, he's only shown you the sort of tip of the iceberg when it comes to what you can do in terms of building your own infographics or using the many widgets that are in there to represent the data as you want to. And as he also said, that really is a webinar on its own. So if that's the end that you're most interested in, and your question is, can this system do my dashboard? Please get in touch with us afterwards, because we can take you through that process. So the problems that we thought were to be solved, I think we feel that they really have been solved by this platform. And I don't want to, we're running sort of quite tight on time here now. I think probably it's a good time to hand over to Nikki to see whether she's got any questions that have come in. I wanted to say one thing that Taco touched on as well. He mentioned the APIs that will be available in the platform. For those of you, I know we've got many MRDCL customers and other users of our software on this session. There will be an API available that will allow you to pump data from MRDCL straight into the platform later this year. So that's something that will be in development before the end of 2020 and will be available to any MRDCL users. So Nikki, any questions that have come in?
Yeah. Okay, yes, I have question, Phil. I mean, which one can answer this? Can I dump SPSS data in the system, Taco?
Yeah, we're working on this. So you can work with label data, you can export the label data, but you can't pump in SPSS data as of yet. But I think it's just a matter of 1 or 2 months. So it's already in development to handle this. Yeah.
Just to add to that, you can get SPSS data out as an Excel file, and that would go into the system. So that already is available.
Yeah, and if you really need it, we have a workaround, but then you need to go through us. So if you have a specific case or an example, then we can help you with it. So we can already do it, but we're now building it towards the front end. So the system is already prepared for this. You can handle the label data. But we just need a little bit more time to get the front end up and running as well.
Okay, great. Now, can they use your system for analyzing big data?
It's quite depending on what you say about what is the big data. So we build it around the concept that you can build it, that you can use it for reporting the business data that is mainly used for the research as well, and the research data that where it's built around. So I need to go through to really answer this, and then please reach out and let me know what kind of data it is, and then I can answer it more, that I know for sure that I give the right answer. So we can handle quite some different types of data, but big data is a big word for a lot of things. So if you give me a bit more details, then I can definitely answer it.
All right, let's take a look on that. Anyway, I have here also a question. Is this cover other font like Thai font, and how can we get to try this CYS?
Yeah, so trying CYS, if you reach out to MRDC, they can help you with with even a demo. And the languages in the questionnaire, yes, it should be able to handle it. But again, I need a little bit more detail to make sure I answered the question correctly.
All right, and when we can expect the soft copy? I mean, of this webinar. I'll answer this.
Yeah.
After this call, I mean, after this meeting, we will be sending you the soft copy of this webinar. And then another question is, how much is the cost of the system? That's really the
Yeah. Okay. The cost is built around the concept. I might want to, if it's possible, Phil, I might want to share my screen. I can just go
sure.
through the
Yeah.
to the cost. Let me see if I can. That allows me to share my screen again. Yeah. Okay. So it's a model where you pay a license a month. The license you pay is always around the amount of complexity that you need in features. So first you buy the platform as it is, and then I'm in the Netherlands, so it runs on euros. But if you look from outside Europe, it will automatically change to dollars. So what it does is we have a medium enterprise package. It will handle less complexity. The whole list is beneath here. You can just find this on our website. And then it goes up to business and pro. You see that the advantage, if you have enterprise requests, then you need to get into a discussion with us and MRDC. But how it's built up is this is just giving you all the functionality. So the more functionality, the more complexity, the higher the package gets. But adding more projects to the same functionality, and there is a big advantage, only is 99 a month. So if you have 10 projects, you still pay one time this, but each additional project you run is much cheaper. So you buy the functionality once, and then you can add projects as you go, and then the price will grow with you. So only if the product is good and you start using it more, you pay a little bit more per project, and that's 99 for a project. And there's a small price for collaborators and users added to it. So this way, the more you do in the system, the cheaper it gets per project. And that was what we were aiming for. And then the whole bunch of details is what's in here. So there are just 4 pillars for the pricing. It is the complexity and functionality, and then the users collaborate some projects, which is a flexible thing.
We can send that a link out, Nikki, can't we, with the information from the webinar on the pricing, just so that everybody can browse that, obviously, because there's quite a lot of detail in there.
Yeah.
Okay, I have here last 2 questions. This is for Tahoe. What's the best way to see all the data visualization features available?
The best way to see which is all available. To ask first a demo and then a trial. That would be the best way to make sure that we can handle everything you want to see. So if you allow us half an hour to 45 minutes of your time, then we can walk you through all the details of the visualizations. And then, of course, you probably have either data. So what we're doing now, if you have some data that you want us to visualize, just discuss it with MRDC, and then together with MRDC, we will set up a demo which already reports your data, just to show what we can do with your data. So that will be a good approach. So we will definitely want to spend time on this to show you how your data can be represented. So that would be, I think, the best approach.
Okay. And lastly, last for the question for Phil, can MRDCL tabulation data be fed into CYS easily?
Yeah, we're working on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I noticed the word tabulation data in there. I mean, there's two types of data you can get out of MRDCL, and that's perhaps not known to even some MRDCL users. There's data from variables that you can take from MRDCL, and there's data from tables that you can take as well, and both can be connected into the CYS platform, and there are links being built so that can all be totally automatic as well. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is working. So if there are specific examples, we can see if we can tweak a solution in as soon as possible. But we're working on a really easy to use connection that we could just set it up without any hassle. Yeah, but that will take a little bit more time. So not available as of today, but we will make sure you get a solution that will work.
Right. So thank you so much, Taco and Phil, for presenting this webinar and answering all those questions asked. And again, thank you everyone for joining the webinar. Anyone, you can contact me for further demonstration, trials, or any other info. And we will be sending out a recording of this webinar very soon. So that's on the screen, you can see my email, which is nikki.sung@mrdcsoftware.com for presentation and demo. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.